Hello, gorgeous goddess. Welcome to my channel. I'm so delighted that you're here. Today's content for this video is called Reversing the Reversals. And this is a really big, exciting topic that I'm so delighted to be able to share with you. And I'll get to the content in just a moment. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Maren. My business is priestessrising.com. I work specifically with women that are awakening to their divine feminine power, that want to tune into the Magdalene codes, that want to illuminate the womb, that want to open their rose heart, and that want to truly claim their role on the forefront of leadership as an emissary of the divine mother and the awakening, rising, divine feminine paradigm. So this is a really exciting piece that dropped in for me around 2020. And I'm going to talk to you about what dropped in, and I'm going to tell you a story, and then we'll put it all together. So basically what happened was that when I was in quarantine in 2020, I was behind the screen on an online workshop. And the gentleman that was the keynote speaker of the workshop put up a slide on the screen, and he was talking about where we're at in our world and patriarchy, etc. And he put up the slide and he said, just look at us. Everything in our world is backward. We have medical systems that inherently take away our innate wisdom and healing capacity of our body. We have education systems that inherently take away our innate knowledge. We have food systems that inherently take away the vibrancy and the freshness and goodness of our food and the nutrition of our food. We have government systems that take away our inherent freedoms. We have oh my goodness, there was other ones, but you sort of get the idea. And it was like a lightning bolt when I saw this slide and I listened to this portion of the talk. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. Everything that he said was so true. Everything is in a reversal. And I saw almost very quickly with my inner eye when I got this knowledge and this download, that the fall of consciousness really took the grid of the earth, and it was like a light switch. And once it shut off, it's like we totally forgot and we totally went into this backward reversed state. And we've been there for lifetimes. That said, one of the things that became incredibly clear to me is that those of us that are on the awakening path, the light workers, the soul midwives, the medicine women, the priestesses, the mystics, the ones that are, harnessing their divine power again and reclaiming and retuning into the life force that awakens the inner grid and ultimately helps to support the awakening of the outer grids. We are here to reverse these reversals. And when this really became clear to me was through an experience that I had many months later. I'll start by saying that I was in meditation and I heard Magdalene's voice like a whisper in the ethers. And she said to me, "It is now time for you to abide in the frequency of the feminine Christ." Those exact words. And at that time, I had no idea what that meant. Abide, the frequency of the feminine Christ. I had to look up the word abide, right? And I just kind of tabled it and I didn't think much of it. And then a couple of months later, I thought of it again. And it was around the holidays and I had some time. And I set up my meditation space, and I knew I was going to like really drop in, like a good 2-hour, 2.5-hour meditation. And I put on my 528 hertz music and I went in. And I remember, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that thing that she said all that time ago. I'm going to abide, bask in the frequency of the feminine Christ. And so I began by simply breathing and like getting into that heart coherence. And I remember I was speaking to myself from the silence of within and saying, I hereby tune in and turn on the vibration of the feminine Christ within me. I feel the feminine Christ frequency in all of my cells. I open to the feminine Christ. I am the feminine Christ. I feel the feminine Christ in me and all around me. The feminine Christ flows through each one of my cells, through my body, through my being. And I did this for a long while until I got into this state. I'd hit a state of being where it felt like I was just lost in light. It was literally an ecstasy kind of state of being. And as I'm flowing in this ecstasy, all of a sudden from across the room, I see, right? It's my third eye that sees it. This shape, this energy, it's the best way I can describe it. And it looks like an inverted snowflake. And it's kind of moving like whoa, whoa. And it comes towards me and it pops right at the side of my head. And I had no idea what it was or why it was there, but I hear my higher self say to me, look at it. And so I kind of looked at it. I turned my consciousness towards it. And my higher self said, become it. And I knew instantly that the shape from when I connected into it was an energy frequency pattern that was part of me. I don't know how I knew, I just knew. And I knew that it held the vibration, the frequency of being a failure, being a loser. Now, jump back with me to 5th grade, and I'm out on the schoolyard, and a group of girls tells me that they don't want to be friends with me anymore. I can't sit at their lunch table. And, it was devastating and humiliating, and it really, really imprinted me. I felt abandoned, I felt ashamed, and I felt like I was a complete loser because these were the pretty girls, and I must be so abhorrent that I am just a complete loser, a nobody, a nothing. And that has stayed in my system for years up to that point, right? And I knew that this energy was connected to that core wound and that core pain. And my higher self said, become it. And I remember having this little argument with my higher self in my mind. I don't want to become that. I don't want that energy. I don't want. And very patiently, again, my higher self said, become it. And so I took the directive of my higher self and I sort of turned and I plugged my consciousness into this shape. And I began to do the thing that I was doing with the feminine Christ energy, which was, I am a loser. I am a failure. Being a loser and being a failure flows through my system. I am that. I am a loser. I am a failure. I feel like a loser. I feel like a failure. And all of a sudden, the energy sort of opens up and I find myself hysterical laughing, like laughing from my gut. And it's like this energy is rippling out of me in these waves. And I realized that as I'm laughing, I'm transmuting this energy, this pattern. And all of a sudden, before my eyes, the inverted snowflake goes and it pops open into like those, like a snowflake, like a beautiful shape, much like we see with the water from Dr. Emoto, how the molecules, when you speak hate and I don't like you, that the molecules look sort of distorted. And then when you speak love, the molecules literally reverse and they become something beautiful. They become something coherent. And I literally saw that happen with a fractal of energy, with a pattern that I had held in my body and in my consciousness field for years, from the time that I was 10 years old up to that point. And it reversed inside of my energy field. And all of a sudden, it was like it was lighter. I had returned that energy that was stuck and contracted and distorted and reversed. And it had been returned to the light. And I realized on that day, this is the potential that we have with every single pattern that is reversed within ourselves and within the collective. And this is the work that we are here to do. We are here to connect in with that those shadow aspects, those aspects of us that are split, that are ultimately locked in the contraction energy. And we are here to return them to the light and love them free. And then it dawned on me that there really are only two frequencies. And this happened one day when I was looking, again, in meditation, lots come through in meditation, and I saw the word live, L-I-V-E. And suddenly, as I'm looking at it, it looks like looks like a neon sign in my mind's eye. And all of a sudden, the letters change. And now it's evil, E-V-I-L. And I never realized it before, that live and evil are actually the same thing, same word, but backward. And then it dawns on me, that is exactly, we're either open or we're closed. We're either in live, life-giving frequency that expands everything, or we are in evil, death frequency, contraction frequency that keeps everything frozen and held in and held back, unable to bloom and be free, an imprisoned frequency. Another way of seeing it is like maybe love and fear, right? Live and evil. And so what I was shown is that as I was in the vibration of the feminine Christ, which I could feel it, it was this very high, light, love vibration that I'd never quite really touched into before. From hitting that high frequency, it brought up and it excavated within me a piece of my shadow that was ready to be returned to the light. And that's the day that I really got empowered with using my body instrument and my consciousness as an alchemist. What does an alchemist do? It is able to shift lead to gold. It is able to take something that's in a state of dense energy and to liberate it into something that vibrates at higher energy. And that, to me, is the work of the awakening Magdalene on the planet at this time. That is the work of the light worker, the work of the priestess, the work of the one that knows that they are here to be part of the transition into New Earth. And so how do we do that? Well, there's a couple ways. Number one, the tenet is true. Love heals all. In the higher frequency that was the feminine Christ vibration, that love wrapped around this I am a loser, I am a failure pattern. And the moment that I connected into it without judgment, but just being with it, it popped open, it freed it. And so what it taught me that day is our love liberates everything. But we must connect to it. We must look right at it, just like my higher self asked me to do that day in meditation. I had to connect with the part, to not turn away, to not make it bad, to not want it to go away, not try to fix it, but just to be present with it. And in my presence and my open heart and the loving vibration that I was in, that is what created the alchemy. So it's something that I teach now in my mystery school programs and with my priestess initiates, that the power of our heart is where we can really do this alchemy. And we must be willing to, when something comes up and when we are triggered, and when a shadow part of us is activated within the pain body, to be able to really be present with it. So much of our culture is around trying to get out of it, trying to fix it, trying to deal with it, trying to make it go away. But what if, and I make this invitation to you, the next time that you're triggered, you lean into the back of your body, which is your receptive realms. Let me just actually break this down for a second. The front of your body is your electric realm. It's your masculine nature. It's your action-oriented self. It's the self that's always tracking the field. And when you just lean into the back of your body, maybe you can try it with me right now, you're going to find that everything settles, it softens. Now you're in the back of the body, you're in the back of the heart, you're in the receptive realms, the feminine realms, which are also the magnetic realms. The magnetic realms pull everything toward it, like a grandmama pulling you to her chest to wrap her hands around you. The magnetic is the feminine that enfolds you, right? The electric is the masculine that goes out and takes action and does and pursues, right? The feminine receives, it magnetizes. So that said, part of how we transmute these shadow aspects of ourselves and we ultimately reverse these reversals first within ourselves and then within the collective is to be present with them without judgment in a space of holding and acceptance and allowing. And allowing is a frequency that is high. It's a high frequency that is just like the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother's ultimate frequency is acceptance. It's what we all ultimately want and are starved for. We just want to be loved and accepted for who we truly are. And when we meet those parts of ourselves that are in pain, that are hurt, that are ultimately in fear, that are locked down in that frequency of contraction, when we meet them with the frequency of Divine Mother, acceptance, presence, openness, allowing, that is ultimately the vibration of love. I don't mean love like 2.0, like we have to like that part of us that feels like a loser. No. We just simply have to be with it in an open heart. And the moment that that fractal, that echo, that split part of ourself meets that energy is so powerful that it opens it up, it liberates it, and it frees it. So another way of saying this, my love, is we are here to love life free. We are here to hold open our hearts and be present with all that is abhorrent, all that is difficult, all that is uncomfortable. And we can allow our human self to have all manner of feelings around it. We don't want to deny and bypass the human experience. We want to be able to be fully human and fully divine, right? That's the Magdalene tenet. But we don't stop there, right? We don't want to stop there and be in judgment and push it away. Our human self can do that, but then we can also meet it at the same time with the higher self, with acceptance, with love, with the inner alchemist that is able to transmute and to open up and to liberate those energy fields. So we are doing this work, and it's just a matter of meeting it and allowing it to come up aspect at a time, one aspect at a time, one aspect at a time, not making ourselves bad and wrong when we're triggered, not making it something that we have to fix, not guilting ourselves because we ended up getting angry, but being present with something as it is. And that is how it ultimately liberates it back to the light. So I hope that this transmission maybe gave you some food for thought or awakened a little bit more of your alchemist energy for you today. Thank you so very much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to being able to share more in the future. If you're interested in potentially getting to know my work, you can come and visit me over at priestessrising.com or on Instagram. My handle is below. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.